Coach, commiserations. Maybe we just start on your thoughts on the game.
Yes, Linda, I'm obviously disappointed because we didn't, actually gave ourselves a chance. We were out of it quite early on the scoreboard. The players showed a lot of fight. I felt it, wasn't a lack of fight. We defended quite hard when Leinster attacked on the goal line. But in those soft moments, where we conceded that early try, after they knocked on, we tried to play out and then lose the ball, and then they went and scored. And then we got the yellow cards in between that, and we lost a few lineouts or scrappy lineouts. So we never really, put a platform there that give us a chance. And then you have to credit Leinster, for every mistake we made, they punished us. They were very clinical. They won all this 50-50s in the air, a lot of them, especially second half. And they were just a champion team today, So a lot of sore hearts in the change room at the moment. But then if I reflect on the season, we wanted to be more competitive today, but I'm very proud of the season, of how the boys rallied and showed a lot of fight.
And then just a follow-up, do you think in a grand final it's more a case of the small moments matter the most, or this Leinster side is just too good?
No, I think small matters does has an influence. You can take nothing away from Leinster. They're a quality side, quality all over from 1 to 23, and well coached. I've got a lot of respect for Leo and for Jock. They world class coaches and world class players. But if you're gonna, be loose in your ball protection, and you're gonna, concede yellow cards against a quality attack side, and you're going to lose, not get the momentum going. Small things, small margins that one knew we have to be accurate, and yet we didn't. So early points puts a lot of pressure on you. I thought we're going to fight back after Cadence created that try, was called forward, and then suddenly, that was the last chance saloon. So, I think, I don't say we would have won. I think the disappointing thing is if we were just a little bit more accurate, we probably could have made a better spectacular game of it, edge of seat game, and not so maybe so comfortable.
I'm just wondering, Coach, is the fact that you have lost, the team has not, particularly under your stewardship, but the team itself have lost a couple of grand finals now. They've lost 2 in a row here. Despite what the team might think, does that actually get into their heads a bit, especially when you're in trouble early on?
I can't speak on behalf of the players. We never felt like that. Like there's external pressure from previous losses. I think, if anything, we wanted to use that as motivation, to get one over the line after being in 4 finals. So maybe on the field, bad start, it could have played maybe a role where players will think, yes, is it another one? But that was not the talk halftime. Even though we were 22-0 down, there was still a belief that if we can score 2 tries in the first start of the second half, we can be back in it. But it's always tough against a so good side. If you start on the back foot, to fight back. But that's not, if you look at Glasgow and Scarlets and a few other games during the season, we did come back from behind, and so I think the players kept on believing, but we could never really put phases together and put quality rugby together before we made an error. So it's a difficult one to say. Was there a stage where they probably would have think about the past? I don't know, but it's something we'll definitely, we'll work on to say you can't let that past drag you down. So hopefully it's not going to influence us in the future.
I suppose if you could get into a situation next year where you might be hoping on a home final in somewhere in South Africa, would that make a difference? The travelling and just having to come back here again. Is that an aim as well to get further up the table?
Yeah, again, my first season of the team, big learning for me personally. The last time I was coaching in South Africa, we played Super Rugby, and the competition was quite simple. You travel to New Zealand or Australia once, and you play there, and you're back, and then you only go back if you play a final or a semi-final. Now we've came to Europe probably 11 or 14 times. I can't remember what's the correct number. So there's moving variables where you got players with you in the early part, then they go to the Springboks, then you don't see them for 3-4 months, then they have to settle in with you. So that will be the aim, to get the home playoffs, but there's so much challenges before you can get there. The one challenge is every team wants to have a home playoffs, and every team is going to get better, and every team is fighting for those spots. So if we do get, that will be an aim to get it, but ultimately, I think that's the challenge for every team. If you play away, if you want to make it win, Munster showed they did it a few years ago. Glasgow did it when they did it against the Bulls. So it's not impossible, but if you just reflect on the start of the game, it's probably the opposite of what we wanted. We knew against a good Leinster side, you can't afford that.
Final one from me. Is the URC maybe harder than people looking at it from harder to win or harder just to compete in than people looking from outside maybe realise? It's a tough competition though.
It's a very tough. It's a good competition and a tough competition. If you win it, you deserve, and that's why I say credit to Leinster. Again, they're also in the same scenario where you sometimes have got players and you haven't got players, and you have to travel and you have to play different conditions. Obviously, South Africa can be different conditions for the European sides, and the same for us. So it's an all-round competition where you have to play well at home, but also play well away, and get tested in your squad, and also get tested in the conditions. I think people hopefully they will realise it is if you win it, it's a great achievement. So well done on Leinster.
Thank you. That's very true.
Thank you.
Coach, just asking about the first half. Twice at the very start and at the very end, you had a chance to go for posts. I just wonder, was Andre carrying a knock, or was it a deliberate ploy to go chase after an old try?
No, I think we were all comfortable with the decision. We needed points. I don't think 3 points would have done it for us. If it was still 12 or 0 maybe, but at 22 down, we needed a try. So we backed the guys to go for the corner and see if they can score. But obviously we didn't execute that. So it's always something that you'll reflect. I think there was one, actually at 12-0 that we probably could have taken, but again, the players is on the field, and we'll always back their decision.
I know this evening's game is obviously disappointing, but I know a few Leinster players are obviously moving on. Very emotional for them. What about your squad? Will you have the nucleus of this squad for next season, or are there players coming, or new players coming into your squad?
Yeah, there is a bit of change. Four players are leaving. That's been obviously heavily involved with the URC side, and then there's a few players coming in.
No more questions in the room? Is there any hands up for the...
Julie, any hands?
Yes,
Jan's hand is up. I'm not sure if you can see him, Clinton, but Jan, over to you.
Thanks, Jan.
Thank you very much, Tim. Johan, I know it's difficult now. Obviously, there's a lot of emotion, and you just touched on the fact that some of your players are leaving, but it's key players, Volko and Rohan, and players like that. What would be the areas that you think the most need to focus on outside of maybe getting a bit more experience, because you're losing a lot of experience?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like you said, it's a difficult one now because one obviously in your mind is disappointed, and we wanted to really make a good account of ourselves. But it is quality players that's leaving. But rugby is of such, it's an opportunity sport. There's so many times people leave, or a player gets injured and the next player comes in, and then he grabs an opportunity and then he becomes a superstar. So we'll go, and we got some good young players coming through. We got some players that we signed from other smaller unions in South Africa, and then obviously one or two players that come back from abroad to strengthen our squad. So we'll regather. We will all go on a break now, and then those players will join us. Some of them joining us like in July, some only after in August, September. Get them part of the group, and then we'll reassess. But I think if you look at overall at the game, it's the experience that we're losing, but there's still enough experienced players that if we get these other players involved, I think we can still, be competitive in all areas. It's not like we're losing in a specific area where we really, I think, will be in trouble. It's just a question to get those guys used to the culture at the Bulls, and obviously, like I said, it's an opportunity to put their hands up.
You had a similar problem that you had last season, even though it's your second season, is that a number of your Springboks, I think at least 8 or 9 of them, will be not available until at least December, because they're going to be involved now in July. Then it's the greatest rivalry, and then it's the Nations Championship again in November. What would be the plan for that? I mean, that's going to be the same challenge you had last year. The Springboks will see a player, almost a full team is missing.
Yeah, we just have to deal with it and prepare the squad that is left as good as we can. And it's time for those younger players to step up, and make a good account of themselves. So the challenge is more logistically, like with the All Blacks coming to South Africa, we have to juggle our pre-season. We don't have a block of 3 months of just preparing for URC. We have to plan for the All Blacks game in between. So, so that's the challenge. Now we have to cut our rest a bit shorter, build the players back up to physical to be ready for contact for that All Blacks game, and then taper down again. Otherwise, the season is going to be too long to keep them all, keep consistently training. So it's not just the squad that we'll have to plan, it's our whole pre-season, but we'll get there once. And now we're just obviously disappointed about the loss, and have to reflect on that and see where we can learn from that, and then we'll plan with the call it a new squad, because that, like you said correctly, that first few months we're going to be a new squad with some new players, but there's enough young talent to hopefully carries us through that period.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Dankie.
Hi, Annelie.
Thanks, Clinton. Hi, Johan. Jammer weer uitslag. Just looking back at the game, is there anything tactically you would have done differently if you look back at it now?
We probably could have, I think we probably could have looked a little bit differently on our line-out plays. Maybe, they contested well. Maybe add a bit more variation on our 7-man line-outs. But I don't think, again, Anami, it's very difficult now, because if you just look at the start of the game, they knock, again, I'll reiterate, for me, when you got a yellow card and we knocked and the opposition knocked the ball, then you obviously take the scrum. And then once you take the scrum, there's a minute past of the yellow card. And I think, to be fair, the chances was better for us to get a penalty from the scrum But then we kept on playing, and 2 phases later we make a mistake and they go and score. In hindsight, that's the lesson. Next time, take the scrum. So then if they didn't score that, it probably for the next 5 or 10 minutes, it would have been 0-0 and not 7-0. And then the second one, we lost the line out, and then they go and score, and then it's 12-0. So tactically, I think we just didn't execute our plan. So now it's difficult to say, just what will you change? So I think we have to reflect on the game and then see where we could have some of the areas that we wanted to play to was available for us. But then before we got there, it is maybe a little fumble on the ball and the ruck is not as quick as we wanted. So it's not necessarily the tactics, it's more the execution that I think we lacked tonight. And then again, I'll say it again, Leinster was so accurate in that first half. Every opportunity they got the points. So you have to credit them as well.
You were denied 2 tries. What were your assessment of that?
Yeah, again, I don't want to really, comment on that now because we could only hear Harold said he did score the try, but if the referees can't see it, then so you have to live by that. And then the second one, again, it's probably, if it's forward, a judge forward, then so be it, then we have to live with the result of the officials.